Last week, the Supreme Court told Donald illegal tariffs. They demanded, to which Donald said, you and what army? Let's dive in. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this evening's episode of Mary Trump Live. It is great to be here with you. Starting with that story, on Friday, as I mentioned, the Supreme Court struck down Donald's sweeping tariffs in a 6-3 ruling, stating that he exceeded his authority under a law intended for national emergencies. The decision was authored by Chief Justice John Roberts, and the court upheld a lower court ruling that Donald improperly used the 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act, known as IEEPA, to impose the tariffs. The decision represents a significant defeat for the executive branch and carries major implications for the global economy. In response, as I mentioned, Donald melted down while at the White House, calling the ruling terrible and totally defective. He said, quote, he's ashamed of certain members of the court, unquote, and accused them of lacking the courage to do what is right for the country, which is to say what is right for him. He went so far as to suggest that their families should be embarrassed. Well, I have a thing or two to say about that. This was a stunning remark at a time when so much of his family is embarrassed of him, of course. But when threats against judges and their families all are already considered a serious national concern. But this is what happens when you put an unhinged man with no impulse control and the inability to be told no in charge of everything. Donald also said he has, quote unquote, other alternatives to pursue tariffs and announced a new 15% global tariff under a different legal authority in addition to existing tariffs already in place. Here's a little more of what he had to say.
The Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs is deeply disappointing, and I'm ashamed of certain members of the court, absolutely ashamed. I'd like to thank and congratulate Justices Thomas, Alito, and Kavanaugh for their strength and wisdom and love of our country. The Democrats on the court are thrilled, but they will automatically vote no. They're an automatic no, just like in Congress. They're an automatic no. They're against anything that makes America strong, healthy, and great again. They also are a frankly, disgrace to our nation, those justices. Others think they're being politically correct too often with certain members. What a shame. When in fact, they're very unpatriotic and disloyal.
A fool, a lapdog, unpatriotic. Sound familiar? Corrupt, illegitimate supermajority made the right decision, a decision that does not favor him, but that does indeed favor the country he so inauthentically pretends to care about is a bridge too far. So that's something that didn't go well for Donald. Here's something else that's not going well for him. His Jeffrey Epstein problem isn't going away. In fact, it's getting worse. The BBC is now reporting that former British ambassador to the United States, Peter Mandelson, has been arrested by London police on suspicion of misconduct in public office following revelations about his ties to the convicted sex offender. That would be Jeffrey Epstein, just so we're clear. Mandelson, 72, was removed from his diplomatic post in September after details of his friendship with Epstein emerged. Earlier this month, police opened a criminal investigation after Prime Minister Keir Starmer's government passed along communications between the two men. Emails released by the U.S. Department of Justice in late January showed that their relationship was closer than previously known and that Mandelson shared information with Epstein while serving as a minister in Gordon Brown's government in 2009. Police searched his homes in London and West England earlier this month, and today he was arrested at a Camden address and taken to a London police station for interview. Separately, last week, King Charles's younger brother, the former Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office over separate allegations that he sent confidential government documents to Epstein. This all kind of reminds me of how Al Capone got taken down. It wasn't for the murders and the mob activity, it was because he didn't pay his taxes. To which I say, so be it. Now, granted, it would be much better and more satisfactory to have these people convicted of the crimes, the very serious crimes against girls and young women they committed. But if it's something as mundane as passing on government documents to, I don't know, a convicted sex trafficker and rapist of girls and young women, then so be it. It's become painfully clear that there's a double standard when it comes to justice and accountability in the United States. What am I saying, double standard? There is no justice and accountability in the United States. Other countries are taking the connection with Epstein of people in their governments very seriously. Here, there's been little to no accountability at all. And why would that be? Maybe it's because something like 25% of the people in Donald's cabinet have been implicated or at least connected to Epstein. Maybe, just saying. So here's a question. How many Epstein client related arrests have been made here at home? And I'm asking this question while knowing that James Comer, a Republican in the House of Representatives, is still insisting that Bill and Hillary Clinton testify. But other than that, how many Epstein client related arrests have been made here at home? 0. Meanwhile, the director of the FBI, who should be deeply concerned about such matters, has been partying on the taxpayer dime with the U.S. men's Olympic team to the tune of something like $400,000. This was Kash Patel. I apologize in advance. Just this weekend, taking seriously the Epstein investigation and, the investigation into the kidnapping of Savannah Guthrie's mother. Okay, imagine putting a gold medal you just won for the country you seem to care about, or pretend to anyway, around that cretin's neck. I hate saying this, but I so wanted Canada to win that game. That is where we are. And that is what Kash Patel, director of the FBI, was doing with our money. That is how seriously he takes his job. Donald signed a proclamation, because I guess he doesn't have anything better to do, declaring today Angel Family Day. This honors Americans killed by immigrants. This happened in the East Room of the White House. During the ceremony, he lashed out at Democrats and repeated his false claims, which is to say his lies, that the 2020 election was quote unquote run by crooked people. When are the people who actually listen to him going to get tired of this nonsense? Donald, who lost that election to Joe Biden by almost 8 million votes, linked Biden's victory to the deaths of the victims of the loved ones in the audience. Quote, every one of your loved ones would be alive today, everyone in this room, unquote. So that is as egregious a lie, or perhaps a more egregious lie, than pretending he won the 2020 election, but it was stolen from him. Donald also claimed foreign nations sent undesirable people to the United States. Well, I mean, Elon Musk, so point well taken. And he used the event to rally support for his immigration crackdown and energize his anti-immigrant base. He accused Democrats of being, quote unquote, professional cheaters, which is rich coming from him, and compared his 2020 loss to the suffering of crime victims' families, telling attendees, quote unquote, I suffer for the country. And again, I ask, when are the people who listen to this depraved child going to get sick of his telling us at every opportunity that he is the one who's aggrieved? He is the one who has been hurt. He is the one who's been treated unfairly. This man who in the last year, he and his useless children amass a fortune of $4 billion because he's in the Oval Office, leveraging the presidency to grift and to steal from us. $4 billion, that is $450,000 an hour. How is that working out for you, people in Donald's base? As Donald spoke to the victims' families, he used the occasion to underscore what he considers his most important message. Let's listen.
How I won. I got probably 85 million votes. They say 78 million, 79 million. They cheated in this election, too. It was just too big to rig. Too big to rig. But they cheated like hell. They can't win on policy. Men and women's sports. We have a new one, though. Voter ID. I think that's as crazy as they won't approve voter ID. They won't approve proof of citizenship. They won't approve no mail-in ballots, even though they know it's crooked as hell. Where the ballots are sent to, in many cases, Democrats. Republicans don't get theirs, and they're calling frantically to get their ballot. A Democrat will get 3, 4, 5, 6, and even 7 ballots. And then we're supposed to win. That's what they're good at. They're professional cheaters. But we wouldn't be here right now. I'm just thinking as we're going through it, because we've suffered through it together.
Yes. Yes, his suffering is on par with those whose children have been murdered. Imagine going to the White House to be told that your child is going to be honored. The memory of your child is going to be honored. And having to listen to that. Now, I will not judge anybody who has lost a child ever. But what about the people who greenlit those remarks, those vile, tone-deaf, cruel, insensitive remarks? But this is the problem. Donald has surrounded himself with people who are just as bad as he is. And as hard as this may be to believe, in some cases, even worse. A federal judge has permanently blocked the release of special counsel Jack Smith's report on Donald's classified documents case, once considered the most serious of the 4 criminal cases he faced. Or maybe not the most serious, but certainly the most obviously easy to prove. According to the Associated Press, Donald's personal pocket judge, U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon, has granted Donald's request to keep the report sealed. The investigation alleged that he kept sensitive documents at Mar-a-Lago after leaving office and obstructed efforts to retrieve them. Smith's team produced a 2-volume report covering the classified documents case and a separate investigation into Donald's efforts to overturn the 2020 election after he lost to Joe Biden. Both cases resulted in indictments that were later abandoned after Donald's November win. That is to say, when Donald won the presidential election in November 2024. And this is in line with a longstanding Justice Department opinion that must be obliterated, that sitting presidents cannot face federal prosecution. Because the truth of the matter is, it's as if anybody running for president can either. Anybody who has been president can't. We should look to South Korea when trying to figure out how to deal with presidents who have broken the law. This is what the corrupt Aileen Cannon, who was absolutely gunning either to be Attorney General of the United States or to be on the Supreme Court, had to say. Quote, Special Counsel Smith, acting without lawful authority, obtained an indictment in this action and initiated proceedings that resulted in a final order of dismissal of all charges. As a result, the former defendants in this case, like any other defendant in this situation, still enjoy the presumption of innocence held sacrosanct in our constitutional order, unquote. We saw him commit this crime with our own eyes. How dare you? Aileen Cannon is yet another person I hope is held accountable someday, because she is responsible for so many of the horrors in this country. If Donald's cases had gone to trial, we would not be having this conversation, you fucking hack. I think it's a good thing that it's time to get to the end of the show, because I'm feeling a little what's the word? Yeah, agita, little agita. Because again, it's Monday and it doesn't feel like it. The good news is, though, we had the most spectacularly beautiful blizzard here. It's the first blizzard we've had in at least 7 years, and I'm telling you, it was lovely and quiet. It rained. It snowed. There were times when we were getting 2 inches an hour. And the winds, we had sustained winds of 20 to 25 miles an hour with gusts up to 60. But luckily, unlike the last time we had a significant snowstorm, which was about 2 weeks ago, the temperatures did not really fall far below freezing. Last time we had temperatures between 0 and 20 degrees. That's Fahrenheit for 2 weeks. So it was just, the conditions were awful. This time around, I mean, again, we got at least 18 to 20 inches of snow here in the city, and the streets are already clear because, thankfully, the temperature isn't going to drop too far. So we're not going to be dealing with those dangerous icy conditions. We might have to worry about a little flooding because a lot of stuff is going to be melting in the next couple of days. But all is back to normal, including the insanity of the United States government. Anyway, I just want to let you know that starting next Monday, that's March 2nd, we are going to be doing Mary Trump Live at 4 o'clock Eastern time. That's PM, obviously. So we'll keep reminding you. We'll keep you posted. Also, we have new merch dropping this week. It's awesome. It's truly awesome. We will hopefully have an image for you in the next day or two. So when it's ready, check it out. Truly, it's amazing. Also, it would be fantastic if you joined us over in Substack at The Good in Us. See, there it is. And look, it's Brian Karam, one of our favorite guest hosts. Consider becoming a subscriber over there. It is free to subscribe, just as it is here, but there's also a paid option if you feel like helping us out. And also, you can become a Patreon member. That just means that there's bonus content and stuff like that. So we also have podcasts on every single podcast platform, Apple, etc. So check those out as well. And finally, thankfully, we have reached our emotional support moment. So please enjoy this very tranquil lakeside landscape at sunset, my favorite time of day. I forgot to say breathe. Why? Because I forgot to breathe. So we can breathe now. There is never a bad time to breathe. Well, that's actually not true, but you know what I'm saying in general. All right. That does it for us. Thank you so much, everybody watching on YouTube, everybody streaming on Twitter and over at The Good in Us, everybody listening to the podcast, to all of our new members, everybody gifting memberships, all of our super stickers, and everybody giving us donations. Truly, we so appreciate everything you do for us. To our moderators for doing the work day in, day out. And of course, just quickly want to say the easiest way to support us is to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I think we're almost at 520,000. We'd really, 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 really like to get to 1 million, but let's be realistic given the way things are going on YouTube and just say, let's get to 521. Or, you know, 6. Play 7 days a week. Like them, share them, comment on them. That helps